Captain Lee Wan stood at the viewing port of the UES Taigok, watching the alien transport ship approach. The vessel looked like a giant silver teardrop floating through space. Inside were 3 members of the Galactic Defense Alliance coming to inspect human military capabilities. This was humanity's first official weapons inspection since joining the galactic community 6 months ago. "Captain, they're requesting permission to dock," reported Lieutenant Kim Bo from the communication station. "Grant them docking permission. Have Commander Park meet them at Airlock 7, Lee Wan replied. He straightened his uniform and walked toward the docking bay. Today would determine whether humanity was ready for full membership in the Galactic Alliance. The airlock hissed open, revealing 3 very different alien beings. The first was tall and reptilian, with green scales and yellow eyes. This was Vorthok, the inspection leader from the Kepler system. Behind him came Quillix, who looked like a walking crystal formation that sparkled under the ship's lights. The third alien was smaller, with purple skin and 4 arms. This was Technical Advisor Naren. "Welcome aboard the UES Taigok, Captain," Lee Wan said with a slight bow. "I'm Captain Lee Wan, commanding officer of this vessel." Vorthok's head tilted as he studied the human captain. "We appreciate your cooperation, Captain. The Galactic Defense Alliance requires all new member species to undergo weapons inspection. This ensures compatibility with our military standards, Ambassador." Kim Jun stepped forward from behind the captain. He was humanity's diplomatic representative, specially trained in galactic protocols. "We understand completely. Captain Lee Wan and Commander Park Mina will provide you with a full tour of our weapon systems." Commander Park Mina arrived at that moment, her boots clicking on the metal deck. She was a compact woman with sharp eyes and graying hair. She had spent 20 years in the human military, fighting in the outer colony wars before first contact with aliens. "Commander Park will be your guide," Captain Lee Wan explained. "She knows every weapon system on this ship better than anyone." Quillix spoke in a voice that sounded like wind chimes. "We are particularly interested in your energy weapons. Most civilized species have progressed beyond primitive kinetic systems." Commander Park exchanged a quick glance with Captain Lee Wan. "Of course, right this way." They walked through the ship's corridors toward the weapons deck. The aliens looked around with interest, noting the human design and technology. Everything seemed standard for a spacefaring species, though perhaps a bit basic compared to galactic standards. "Here is our main weapons control center," Commander Park announced as they entered a large room filled with displays and control panels. "We have plasma cannons, particle beam weapons, and ion disruptors, all standard galactic technology." Vorthok nodded approvingly. "Very good. Your species has adapted well to proper military technology." Technical Advisor Naren moved to examine the control systems with his 4 arms working independently. "These systems appear functional, though somewhat simplified compared to our standards. We prefer reliability over complexity," Commander Park replied diplomatically. They continued the tour, visiting the main gun batteries and defensive systems. The aliens seemed satisfied with what they saw. Human energy weapons were adequate, if not impressive by galactic standards. "Now, if you'll follow me, I'll show you our secondary weapon systems," Commander Park said, leading them to another section of the ship. The group entered a different storage area. Here, the aliens saw something that made them stop and stare. Rows of projectile weapons lined the walls. There were railguns, kinetic bombardment systems, and even chemically propelled firearms. Vorthok's yellow eyes widened. "What are these devices?" "These are our ballistic weapons," Commander Park explained matter-of-factly. "They fire solid projectiles using various propulsion methods." Quillix's crystalline form shimmered as he processed this information. "But why do you maintain such primitive systems?" "These weapons are obsolete by galactic standards. We find them useful for certain situations. Commander Park replied carefully. Naren examined one of the railguns with obvious confusion. But you have energy weapons. Why would you need these ancient technologies? Ambassador Kim Jun stepped forward. Human military doctrine emphasizes redundancy and versatility. We believe in having multiple options available. Vorthok shook his head slowly. This is most unusual. Every civilized species abandons kinetic weapons once they develop energy systems. It's a natural progression of military evolution. Commander Park picked up a simple rifle from the rack. This weapon fires a solid projectile at high velocity. It's reliable, simple to maintain, and effective in many situations. But it's so primitive, Quillix protested. Energy weapons are superior in every way. They're more precise, more powerful, and more efficient. Perhaps, Commander Park agreed. But these weapons have their own advantages. The aliens spent the next hour cataloging the various ballistic systems. They found everything from small arms to massive ship-mounted railguns. Each discovery seemed to puzzle them more. I don't understand, Vorthok said finally. Your species has clearly mastered energy weapon technology. Why do you cling to these relics? Captain Li Wan joined the conversation. Our military history has taught us that no single weapon system is perfect for every situation. We maintain diverse capabilities. Technical advisor Naren recorded everything on his scanning device. This will need to be noted in our report. Your species shows unusual attachment to outdated technology. We prefer to think of it as being prepared, Commander Park said, with a slight smile. The inspection continued for several more hours. Aliens examined every weapon system on the ship, taking detailed notes and measurements. They seemed particularly interested in the technical specifications of the ballistic weapons, so they clearly viewed them as curiosities rather than serious military equipment. Your energy weapons meet galactic standards, Vorthok announced, as the inspection concluded. However, your continued use of primitive kinetic systems is concerning. Concerning how? Ambassador Kim Jun asked. It suggests your species hasn't fully evolved beyond primitive warfare concepts, Quillix explained. This could indicate a lack of military sophistication. Captain Li Wan maintained his diplomatic composure. We appreciate your evaluation. Human military doctrine has served us well throughout our history. Perhaps, Vorthok said. But now, you're part of a galactic civilization. You should consider modernizing your approach to match civilized standards. The aliens gathered their equipment and prepared to leave. Technical advisor Naren uploaded his final scans to their database. We will file a report with the Galactic Defense Alliance. They will determine what assistance your species requires. Assistance? Commander Park asked. Military modernization programs, Vorthok explained. We can help you transition away from these outdated systems to proper galactic military technology. Ambassador Kim Jun bowed politely. We are always interested in learning from our galactic neighbors. After the aliens departed, the human officers remained in the docking bay. Captain Li Wan watched their transport ship disappear into the void of space. They have no idea, Commander Park said quietly. No, Captain Li Wan agreed. They don't understand at all. Ambassador Kim Jun looked worried. They're going to recommend that we undergo military modernization. They think we're primitive. Let them think that, Captain Li Wan said. Sometimes it's better to be underestimated. Commander Park nodded. They've forgotten why ballistic weapons were invented in the first place. They see them as relics instead of tools. Their loss, Captain Li Wan replied. We'll continue to maintain our full capabilities, regardless of their recommendations. The three humans stood in comfortable silence, each understanding something the aliens had completely missed. Human military doctrine wasn't about choosing the most advanced weapon. It was about having the right weapon for every possible situation in the distance. Earth hung like a blue marble against the darkness of space. Humanity had joined the galactic community, but they would do so on their own terms. The aliens might offer their assistance, but humans would decide for themselves what constituted proper military preparation. The inspection was over, but the real test was just beginning. Supreme Commander Thalaxa sat in the Great Council Chamber on Kepler 4 to be, reading the inspection report from the human vessel. The ancient leader had seen many species join the Galactic Defense Alliance over the centuries, but this report troubled her deeply. The chamber was vast, with walls that curved upward like the inside of a giant egg. Representatives from dozens of worlds sat in floating chairs arranged in perfect circles. Today's meeting focused on humanity's military capabilities and their fitness for full galactic membership. The humans maintained primitive kinetic weapons. Alongside their energy systems, Vorthok reported to the assembled council. His reptilian form stood at the center of the chamber, speaking clearly so all could hear. This suggests they haven't fully evolved beyond barbaric warfare methods. Murmurs rippled through the council. Many species had heard rumors about human military practices, but few believed they were true. The idea of maintaining ballistic weapons seemed absurd to civilized minds. Strategic. Analyst Zyron floated forward in her chair. She was a tall, graceful being with silver skin and large black eyes. Her species had been studying military evolution for thousands of years. Commander Vorthok, can you describe these primitive weapons in more detail? They fire solid projectiles using chemical propulsion or electromagnetic acceleration, Vorthok explained. Some use simple gunpowder, others use magnetic fields. All are based on ancient physics principles. Dr. Neff, the council's archaeologist, activated a holographic display. Images of various weapons appeared in the air above the council members. These match weapons from our historical databases. All species used similar devices during their early development phases. A hologram showed progression charts for dozens of civilizations. Each followed the same pattern. Clubs and spears evolved into projectile weapons, which eventually gave way to energy-based systems. The progression was so consistent that it was considered a universal law of military development. Every known species follows this evolutionary path, Dr. Neff continued. Kinetic weapons are abandoned once energy systems become available. This is because energy weapons are superior in every measurable way. General Corvin, a massive warrior from the Vega system, spoke from his floating platform. Energy weapons are more accurate, more powerful, and more efficient. They can be adjusted for different targets and situations. Why would any rational species cling to inferior technology? Technical advisor Quillex, who had participated in the human inspection, shared his recordings. The humans showed no embarrassment about these weapons. They spoke of them as if they were valuable military assets rather than museum pieces. The council members watched footage of human ballistic weapons in action. They saw railguns firing, metal projectiles at incredible speeds, chemical weapons launching explosive shells, and small arms firing bullets. Two galactic eyes. It all looked terribly primitive. Perhaps they're simply attached to their history, suggested council member Orcs, whose species had once been known for their ceremonial weapons. Many cultures maintain traditional items for symbolic reasons. But these aren't ceremonial weapons, Vorthok protested. They're integrated into their active military systems. The humans actually use them in combat operations. Supreme Commander Thalaxa had remained silent during the discussion, but now she spoke. Her voice carried the weight of centuries. Do we know about human military history? Dr. Neff consulted his databases. They've been fighting wars for thousands of years. Their records show constant conflict between different groups of their own species. They only achieved planetary unity recently. Constant warfare, General Corvan mused. That might explain their attachment to primitive weapons. They haven't had time to develop proper military thinking. Strategic analyst Siren pulled up more data. Their conflicts were primarily fought with kinetic weapons until very recently. They may not understand that energy weapons represent a fundamental advancement in military science. The council members nodded in understanding. This made sense to them. Humans were simply too young and inexperienced to grasp proper military evolution. They were like children playing with toys instead of using proper tools. We've encountered similar situations before, Supreme Commander Thalaxa said. The Rigel species maintained projectile weapons for 50 years after developing energy systems. They eventually saw reason and modernized their forces. The Centauri took even longer, added General Corvin. Oh, but they too eventually progressed beyond primitive warfare methods. Dr. Neff displayed charts showing how other species had been helped to modernize their military thinking. In every case, education and assistance led to proper development. The species learned to abandon their outdated weapons in favor of civilized alternatives. The humans seem intelligent, Quillex observed. Their energy weapons meet basic galactic standards. They simply need guidance to understand proper military evolution. Strategic analyst Zyron began calculating resource requirements. Could provide them with advanced energy weapon technology. Our latest plasma systems would be a significant improvement over their current equipment. Training programs would also be helpful, suggested General Corvin. We could teach them proper galactic military doctrine, show them how civilized species conduct warfare. The council members discussed various assistance options. They could provide technology transfers, training programs, and educational materials. The humans would benefit greatly from galactic military knowledge. We should approach this carefully, Supreme Commander Thalaxa warned. Some species become defensive when their military practices are questioned. We must present this as assistance, rather than criticism. The humans seemed receptive during the inspection, Vorthok reported. Their diplomatic representative expressed interest in learning from galactic neighbors. Dr. Neff pulled up psychological profiles of newly contacted species. Humans appear to be adaptable and intelligent. They to respond well to proper guidance. The council spent several hours developing a comprehensive assistance program. They would offer the humans advanced energy weapon technology, tactical training, and strategic education. The program would help humanity progress to proper galactic military standards. This is clearly a case of arrested development. Strategic analyst Zyron concluded. The humans are stuck in a primitive mindset because they lack proper education. Once they understand the advantages of energy weapons, they'll naturally abandon their outdated systems. General Corvan agreed. No rational species would choose inferior technology when better options are available. Technical advisor Quillex reviewed the inspection data one more time. Their ballistic weapons are well maintained and apparently functional, but functionality isn't the issue. The issue is that they're using tools when they should be using proper weapons. The council members laughed at this comparison. The idea of using ancient tools for modern warfare seemed absurd to their advanced civilizations. We'll present this as a generous offer, Supreme Commander Thalaxa decided. The humans will appreciate our assistance in modernizing their military capabilities. Should we require them to abandon their primitive weapons? Asked General Corvin. No need, replied Dr. Neff. Once they experience proper energy weapons, they'll naturally retire their outdated systems. Every species does this voluntarily once they understand the benefits. The council voted unanimously to approve the assistance program. They would help humanity evolve beyond their primitive military thinking. The humans would be grateful for the opportunity to join the ranks of civilized species. As the meeting concluded, the council members felt satisfied with their decision. 10. They were helping a young species avoid the mistakes of the past. The humans would soon understand that energy weapons represented the future of civilized warfare. None of them suspected that humans might have good reasons for maintaining their ballistic weapons. The possibility that projectile weapons could offer strategic advantages never occurred to them. They saw only primitive technology that needed to be replaced with proper galactic systems. Supreme Commander Thalaxa filed the final report, recommending immediate assistance for human military modernization. The Galactic Defense Alliance would help humanity take the next step in their evolution as a spacefaring civilization. The aliens had no idea. They were about to reveal their own weaknesses to a species that thought about warfare in ways they couldn't imagine. Admiral Cho Suk sat at the head of the conference table in the United Nations Space Command headquarters in Geneva. The room was filled with Earth's top military leaders, all waiting to hear about the alien proposal that had arrived that morning. The message from the Galactic Defense Alliance had been polite but clear. They wanted to help humanity modernize their military forces. They offered advanced energy weapon technology, training programs, and strategic guidance. To them, it was a generous gift to a developing species. "Read it again," Admiral Cho Suk said to her aide. The young officer cleared his throat. "Galactic Defense Alliance recognizes humanity's potential and wishes to assist in your military evolution. We offer plasma cannon technology, particle beam systems, and tactical training to help you abandon primitive kinetic weapons in favor of civilized energy systems." General Yute leaned back in his chair. He was a veteran of 3 colonial wars and had seen every type of combat imaginable. "They think we're children playing with toys." "That's exactly what they think," agreed Dr. Shenhai, the chief of Advanced Weapons Research. She was a small woman with intense eyes who had spent her career studying both human and alien technology. "They believe ballistic weapons are obsolete relics that should be retired." Colonel Baywan, the head of Special Forces, laughed quietly. "They have no idea what they're talking about." Admiral Cho Suk had commanded fleets in the Outer Colony Wars before humanity met the aliens. She understood warfare better than most. "Tell me what our analysis shows about their military doctrine." General Yute activated a holographic display. "We've studied their combat records for the past 6 months. Every galactic species uses the same basic approach. They rely entirely on energy weapons for all combat situations." The display showed battle footage from various alien conflicts. Ships fired colorful beams of energy at each other. Ground forces used plasma rifles and particle cannons. Everything was bright, flashy, and energy-based. "They've forgotten the basics," Dr. Shinhai observed. "Energy weapons are powerful, but they have limitations that kinetic weapons don't." "Kind of limitations?" asked Ambassador Kim Jun, who had just arrived from the alien negotiations. Dr. Shinhai pulled up technical specifications. "Energy weapons can be deflected by proper shielding. They create electromagnetic signatures that can be detected easily. They require significant power sources and complex maintenance systems. Most importantly," Colonel Baywan added, "they stop working when you disrupt their power supply or hit them with electromagnetic interference." Admiral Cho Suk studied the data carefully. "Show me the comparison analysis." The holographic display changed to show ballistic weapons alongside energy systems. Dr. Shinhai began explaining the differences. A railgun fires a solid projectile using magnetic fields. The projectile cannot be deflected by energy shields because it's a physical object following basic physics laws. It doesn't need a continuous power source once it's fired. Chemical propellant weapon uses gunpowder to launch a bullet. It works in any electromagnetic environment. It requires no advanced technology to maintain or operate. General Yute pointed to specific examples. "Our kinetic bombardment systems drop tungsten rods from orbit. No energy weapon can stop a solid metal rod falling at terminal velocity. But surely energy weapons are more powerful? Ambassador Kim Jun asked. Not necessarily, Dr. Shinhai replied. A railgun can fire a projectile at significant percentages of light speed. The kinetic energy released on impact is enormous. Energy weapons may look more impressive, but they're not always more effective. Colonel Baywan stood up and walked to the display. My special forces teams have tested both weapon types in every possible scenario. Energy weapons are excellent for certain missions, but they fail completely in others. Give me examples, Admiral Cho Suk requested. Electromagnetic warfare environments, Colonel Baywan began. If the enemy uses EMP weapons or electronic jamming, energy weapons become useless. Ballistic weapons keep working. Stealth missions, where energy signatures would reveal your position. Silent operations, where muzzle flashes are less detectable than energy beams. Situations where you need to penetrate heavy armor that can absorb energy but not kinetic force. General Yute added more scenarios. Long-term sieges, where power supplies are limited. Combat in areas with strong magnetic fields that interfere with energy weapons. Situations where you need weapons that can't be hacked or disabled remotely. The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. The aliens thought they were offering humanity an upgrade, but they were actually suggesting humans abandon proven military advantages. They've made themselves vulnerable, Admiral Cho Suk realized. Every galactic species uses identical military doctrine. They've standardized on energy weapons and have forgotten everything else. It's worse than that, Dr. Shinhai said. They've built their entire military philosophy around energy weapon superiority. Their shields are designed to stop energy beams, not solid projectiles. Their tactics assume everyone will fight the same way. Ambassador Kim Jun looked worried. What do? They expect us to accept their offer. We accept it, Admiral Cho Suk said immediately. Everyone stared at her in surprise. We accept their generous offer of advanced energy weapon technology, she continued. Thank them for their assistance in modernizing our military forces. We attend their training programs and learn their tactical doctrine. But we don't abandon our ballistic weapons, General Yute realized. Exactly. We add energy weapons to our arsenal without removing kinetic systems. We become the only species in the galaxy with true military flexibility. Colonel Baywan smiled grimly. We let them think they're helping us evolve while we maintain our strategic advantages. Dr. Shinhai was already making notes. We can learn their technology while keeping our own. Study their weaknesses while they remain ignorant of our capabilities. T's has to be completely classified, Admiral Cho Suk warned. The aliens cannot know we're maintaining ballistic weapons alongside their energy systems. What do we call this operation? General Yute asked. Operation Silent Thunder, Admiral Cho Suk decided. We'll be quiet about our true capabilities while maintaining the power to surprise our enemies. Ambassador Kim Jun understood his role. I'll tell the aliens we're grateful for their assistance. Want to learn proper galactic military doctrine. Perfect, Admiral Cho Suk agreed. Let them think they're civilizing primitive humans. Meanwhile, we'll become the most tactically flexible military force in the galaxy. The meeting continued for several hours as they planned the deception. Human forces would publicly adopt energy weapons while secretly maintaining and improving their ballistic systems. Special facilities would be built to develop kinetic weapons away from alien observation. The aliens have given us an incredible gift, Dr. Shinhai observed. They've shown us that an entire galaxy of civilizations has forgotten basic military principles. They've made themselves predictable, Colonel Baywan added. Every species uses the same tactics, the same weapons, the same thinking. General Yute pulled up strategic projections. If conflict ever comes, we'll be fighting enemies who expect us to behave like everyone else. They'll be completely unprepared for kinetic weapons. Let's hope it never comes to that, Admiral Cho Suk said. But if it does, we'll be ready. Human leaders left the meeting with mixed feelings. They were grateful for the alien technology offer, but troubled by what it revealed about galactic military thinking. The aliens had made themselves vulnerable by abandoning proven military principles. Operation Silent Thunder began immediately. Human engineers started designing facilities to secretly develop ballistic weapons. Military planners began integrating energy and kinetic systems into unified tactical doctrines. The aliens would get what they wanted. Humanity would publicly embrace energy weapons and galactic military standards. But they would do so without abandoning the strategic advantages that made them unique in the depths of space. Human ships continued their patrols with both energy cannons and railguns. The galaxy's newest members were learning to play by galactic rules while keeping their own cards hidden. The game was just beginning. Part 4. The test 6 months had passed since humanity accepted the Alien Military Assistance Program. Captain Lee Wan now commanded a mixed fleet of human and alien vessels in the Arcturus system. Today was the final test to see if humans had properly learned galactic warfare methods. The exercise was designed to be simple. Human forces would defend the system against a simulated enemy attack. Alien observers would watch to see if humanity had abandoned their primitive, ballistic weapons in favor of proper energy systems. All ships report ready, announced Lieutenant Kim Bo from the communication station of the UES Taigok. The human flagship had been upgraded with the latest galactic energy weapons. Plasma cannons and particle beam arrays gleamed along its hull. Captain Lee Wand studied the tactical display. His fleet included 12 human vessels and 6 alien ships. Alien vessels were there to observe and assist if needed. They expected to see humans fighting like proper galactic citizens. Fleet Commander Zephyros commanded the alien observation group from his silver vessel. He was a tall being with blue skin and 3 eyes who had trained dozens of species in proper military doctrine. Key felt confident that humans had learned their lessons well. Begin the exercise, Fleet Commander Zephyros announced over the communication system. The enemy simulation started immediately. Red markers appeared on the tactical display, representing hostile forces entering the system. According to the scenario, these enemies had advanced shielding and standard galactic weapons. Enemy fleet detected, reported Ensign Oh Yoon from the sensor station. She was young and represented the new generation of human officers trained with alien weapons. 12 vessels approaching from Vector 7. Commander Park, Mina coordinated the human response from her position at the weapons console. Prepare plasma cannons, target the lead vessels, and fire on my command. The human fleet moved into formation exactly as they had been taught. Energy weapons charged and targeted the simulated enemies. Everything looked perfect to the alien observers. Excellent formation, Fleet Commander Zephyros commented to his staff. The humans have learned proper galactic tactics. The battle began with brilliant displays of energy, weapons, fire. Human plasma cannons shot bright blue beams at enemy targets. Alien particle weapons added their own colorful contributions too. The light show was exactly what galactic warfare was supposed to look like. Direct hits on multiple targets, reported LT Commander Nam Jin from the tactical station. Enemy shields are holding but taking damage. The exercise continued for 30 minutes with both sides exchanging energy, weapon, fire. The humans performed exactly as their alien trainers expected. They used proper formations, correct targeting procedures, and appropriate tactical responses. Fleet Commander Zephyros was pleased with the human progress. They fight like civilized beings now, much better than their primitive past. But then, something unexpected happened. The exercise scenario included a new element that galactic forces rarely encountered. The enemy launched electromagnetic pulse weapons that disabled most electronic systems. EMP burst detected, Ensign O. Yun announced as her console flickered and went dark. All energy weapons are offline. Main power is fluctuating. The alien vessels immediately found themselves in serious trouble. Their energy weapons stopped working. Their advanced targeting systems failed. Their plasma shields collapsed as power systems struggled to restart. This is unexpected, Fleet Commander Zephyros said as his own ship lost primary weapons. The scenario was not supposed to include electromagnetic warfare. Captain Morvac, commanding the simulated enemy forces, watched with interest. His orders were to test human adaptability under extreme conditions. The EMP attack was designed to see how well humans could fight when their energy weapons failed. For several minutes, both human and alien vessels drifted helplessly in space. Their crews worked frantically to restore power and reactivate weapons systems. The electromagnetic interference made normal galactic tactics impossible. Then something happened that shocked every alien observer. Hidden panels opened along the hulls of human vessels. Weapons emerged that the aliens had not seen during their inspection tours. These were not energy weapons, kinetic bombardment systems, and ballistic missile launchers. What are those devices? Fleet Commander Zephyros demanded, as he watched the human ships transform. Railguns coming online. LT, Commander Nam Jin reported calmly. Kinetic systems are unaffected by electromagnetic interference. All ballistic weapons ready to fire. Commander Park, Mina smiled as she switched to backup targeting systems that used optical guidance instead of electronic sensors. Fire all kinetic weapons. Target the enemy command ship first. The human fleet erupted with different kinds of weapons fire. Instead of colorful energy beams, solid projectiles streaked through space at incredible speeds. Railgun slugs hit enemy vessels with devastating kinetic force. Ballistic missiles followed ballistic trajectories that could not be jammed or deflected. The simulated enemy forces found themselves under attack from weapons they had no defenses against. Their energy shields were designed to stop plasma and particle beams, not solid metal projectiles traveling at significant fractions of light speed. Impossible, breathed Fleet Commander Zephyros as he watched human weapons tear through enemy defenses. How are they still fighting? Ensign O-Yun had switched to manual control systems that worked without advanced electronics. Ballistic systems require no continuous power source. They function in any electromagnetic environment. Captain Li Wan coordinated the attack using voice communications and optical signals. Focus fire on the enemy flagship. Use armor-piercing rounds. The human tactical approach was completely different from galactic doctrine. Instead of trying to restore their energy weapons, they had immediately switched to backup systems that were immune to electromagnetic interference. LT. Commander Nam Jin demonstrated the flexibility that made human forces unique. He seamlessly transitioned between energy and ballistic weapons, depending on which was more effective for each target. Target the enemy's main reactor. Commander Park, Mina ordered. Tungsten penetrator rounds should punch right through their whole armor. Alien observers watched in stunned silence as the humans systematically destroyed the simulated enemy fleet. The enemy had superior numbers and advanced technology, but they could not defend against weapons they were not designed to counter. How did they hide those weapons from our inspections? Captain Morvac asked over the communication system. Simulated enemy forces were being eliminated faster than he had thought possible. The ballistic systems were integrated into the ship's structure. Captain Li Wan explained. We never removed them. We simply added energy weapons alongside our existing capabilities. Fleet Commander Zephyros finally understood what he was witnessing. The humans had not abandoned their primitive weapons as instructed. They had kept them as backup systems for exactly this type of situation. But energy weapons are superior, he protested. Why would you maintain inferior technology? Because no single weapon system is perfect for every situation, Commander Park Mina replied. Energy weapons are excellent when they work. Ballistic weapons work when energy weapons cannot. The exercise concluded with complete human victory. Every simulated enemy vessel had been destroyed or disabled. The human fleet had suffered minimal damage because their enemies could not effectively return fire once their energy weapons failed. Ensign Oh Yun represented everything the aliens had misunderstood about human military thinking. She was equally comfortable with plasma cannons and railguns, switching between them as tactical situations required. Exercise complete, Captain Li Wan announced. All human vessels report operational status. Ballistic weapons secured. Energy systems coming back online. The alien observers sat in their darkened command centers, trying to process what they had witnessed. The humans had not evolved beyond primitive weapons as expected. Instead, they had created a military doctrine that combined the best elements of both technological approaches. Fleet Commander Zephyros realized that everything he thought he knew about proper military evolution was wrong. The humans had achieved something no other galactic species possessed: true tactical flexibility. The test was over. But the real education was just beginning. The Galactic Defense Alliance flagship hung in space like a massive crystal palace. Inside its main conference room, Supreme Commander Thalaxa faced the most disturbing military briefing of her long career. The human exercise had revealed something that challenged everything the galactic community believed about warfare. Admiral Cho Suk sat across from the alien leadership, flanked by Dr. Shinhai and Captain Li Wan. The humans had been summoned to explain their performance in the Arcturus exercise. The aliens needed answers to questions they had never thought to ask. You deceived us, Fleet Commander Zephyros said bluntly, his 3 eyes focused on the human admiral with obvious anger. You claimed to embrace galactic military doctrine while secretly maintaining primitive weapons. Admiral Cho Suk remained calm. We never claimed to abandon our ballistic systems. We accepted your generous offer of energy, weapon, technology, and added it to our existing capabilities. Why keep obsolete weapons? Strategic Analyst Zyron demanded. Her silver skin seemed to shimmer with frustration. Energy systems are superior in every measurable way. Dr. Shinhai leaned forward slightly. Are they? Your ships were completely helpless during the electromagnetic interference phase of the exercise. Our ballistic weapons continued functioning normally. Supreme Commander Thalaxa had been silent, but now she spoke with the weight of centuries behind her words. Explain to us why you believe primitive kinetic weapons have value in modern warfare. Captain Li Wan activated a holographic display that showed various combat scenarios. Energy weapons are excellent tools, but they have fundamental limitations that kinetic weapons do not share. The display showed energy beams being deflected by shields, absorbed by armor, and disrupted by electronic countermeasures. Then it showed solid projectiles punching through the same defenses with unstoppable force. A railgun slug follows the laws of physics, Dr. Shinhai explained. You cannot deflect it with energy fields because it has real mass and momentum. You cannot jam it with electronics because it requires no guidance once fired. But energy weapons are more precise, protested technical advisor Quillex. They can be adjusted for different targets and situations. Precision is useless if your weapon cannot reach the target, Admiral Cho Suk replied. Energy weapons create electromagnetic signatures that can be detected and countered. Ballistic weapons are much harder to defend against. Strategic Analyst Zyron pulled up her own data files. Every civilized species has progressed beyond kinetic weapons. This is the natural evolution of military technology. Every civilized species has made the same mistake, Captain Lee Wan said quietly. The alien leadership stared at him in shock. No one had ever suggested that galactic military doctrine might be flawed. You have all standardized on identical technology and tactics, Dr. Shinhai continued. This makes you predictable. More importantly, it makes you vulnerable to anyone who thinks differently. Supreme Commander Thalaxa felt a chill run through her ancient body. What do you mean by vulnerable? Admiral Cho-Suk stood and walked to the holographic display. Your shields are designed to stop energy weapons. Your armor is built to absorb plasma and particle beams. Your tactics assume everyone will fight with the same tools you use. She manipulated the display to show galactic ship designs. Look at your vessels. Every defensive system is optimized for energy weapon attacks. None of them can effectively stop solid projectiles traveling at relativistic speeds. The truth hit the alien leaders like a physical blow. Their entire military philosophy was based on fighting enemies who used identical technology. They had never considered facing opponents with different approaches. Show them the penetration tests, Captain, Lee Wan said. The holographic display changed to show recordings of human weapons testing. Railgun slugs punched through galactic armor like it was paper. Kinetic bombardment rods shattered energy shields that could stop the most powerful plasma cannons. Impossible, breathed Fleet Commander Zephyros. Our defenses are the most advanced in the galaxy. Advanced against energy weapons, Dr. Shinhai agreed. Completely inadequate against kinetic attacks. General Corvin, the massive warrior from Vega, finally understood the implications. You were saying that human weapons could defeat any galactic military force. We're saying that diversity in military thinking provides strategic advantages, Admiral Cho-Suk corrected. Energy weapons are excellent tools. So are kinetic weapons. Using both makes us more flexible than using either alone. Strategic analyst Siren was frantically calculating scenarios in her head. If humans can penetrate our defenses, then our entire military structure is obsolete. Not obsolete, Captain Lee Wan said diplomatically. Simply incomplete. You have focused on one type of warfare while ignoring others. Supreme Commander Thalaxa realized the horrifying truth. Every species in the galaxy uses identical military doctrine. If one approach fails, we all fail together. But you knew this when you offered to help us, Dr. Shin Hai pointed out. You had access to our weapon specifications during the inspection. You could have analyzed their capabilities. Technical Advisor Quillix admitted the shameful truth. We dismissed them as primitive relics, never considered that they might have strategic value. Saw what you expected to see, Admiral Cho. Suk said, ancient weapons used by a backward species. You never imagined they might be effective against advanced technology. The alien leadership sat in stunned silence as they grasped the full scope of their mistake. They had not been helping humanity evolve, had been providing military intelligence to a species with unknown capabilities. What do you want from us? Supreme Commander Thalaxa asked finally. Nothing has changed, Admiral Cho-Suk replied. We remain committed to peaceful cooperation with the galactic community. We have no aggressive intentions toward any species. But you could destroy any of our fleets, General Corvan stated bluntly. We could, Captain Lee Wan acknowledged. Just as you could destroy our cities with your energy weapons. Military capability does not equal hostile intent. Dr. Shinhai added a crucial point. The real question is whether the galactic community can learn from this experience. Diversity in military thinking makes everyone stronger, not weaker. Strategic. Analyst Siren was already considering the implications. You suggest that we should develop our own kinetic weapons. You suggest that you should think about warfare differently, Admiral Cho-Suk said. Do not abandon energy weapons. Add other options alongside them. Like you did with our technology, Supreme Commander Thalaxa realized. You did not replace your weapons, okay? You expanded your capabilities. Exactly. Military evolution should mean adding tools, not replacing them. Different situations require different solutions. The meeting continued for hours as the aliens struggled to understand human military philosophy. They had spent centuries believing that newer technology was always better technology. The idea of maintaining older systems alongside advanced ones was revolutionary. It changes everything, Fleet Commander Zephyros said finally. If kinetic weapons are effective against our defenses, then other species might develop them as well. Or they might develop entirely different approaches that we have not considered, Dr. Shin Hai pointed out. K is to be prepared for unexpected threats. Supreme Commander Thalaxa made the decision that would reshape galactic military thinking. We must reassess our entire defensive strategy. If humans can exploit these weaknesses, so can potential enemies. We offer to share our research, Admiral Cho Suk said. Human kinetic weapon technology could help you develop better defenses. In return, we continue learning from your energy weapon expertise. The aliens agreed to the exchange, but they understood the deeper truth. Humanity had not joined the galactic community as students. They had arrived as teachers with lessons that no one expected to learn. As the meeting concluded, Captain Li Wan reflected on this strange turn of events. 6 months ago, the aliens had offered to civilize primitive human military thinking. Now they were asking humans to help them rethink their own military evolution. The galaxy would never be the same. The age of uniform military doctrine was ending. The age of tactical diversity was beginning in the depths of space. Human ships continued their patrols with both energy cannons and railguns ready for action. They were no longer the galaxy's newest members. They were its most unpredictable military force, and that made everyone safer, whether they realized it or not.